Welcome to Overwatch, and welcome to a special announcement video because holy shit, guys, have you seen the Machine Menace beating out a poor war veteran, taking away his job, his livelihood? No more will this war veteran be able to do the job that he was meant for because, well, Bastion has come along and taken it away from him. Soldier 76 no longer now the king of destroying barriers. So the PTR patch came live yesterday and then it instantly went back down because they couldn't get the server browsers working, but now it's back up and I've had a chance to play with Bastion a little bit. I've also had a chance to watch it as well. It's actually really nice being able to hop into a game and just look around and sort of observe it and practice that sort of stuff. So that's actually a lot of fun, and I've been doing that a little bit as well. So enjoy some of that in the background as you watch some random people play, and then you see some of my gameplay on the Bastion. What do we think of the new Bastion? Holy shit, it's actually really cool. I've long been adamant that the way that you fix Bastion is by improving his recon mode, and they've done just that. They've increased the ammo count he has and increased his accuracy a little bit, so he plays a lot like Soldier 76, but he's got 300 hit points and he can just heal himself. So he's a bigger, more durable, tankier Soldier 76, but like I said, he is bigger. You've got to keep that in mind. His model is larger, you have a bigger presence on the map, you are very easy to hit, so while you have the 100 armor, you're also going to be taking a lot more damage. Now, the key with Bastion is that he can transform and he can turn into the massive minigun form that we all know and love. This can no longer headshot. It is actually a pretty potent damage nerf on stuff like Winston and Diva especially. You can't just mince them into red mists pretty instantly, but you can do it pretty quickly regardless, so it doesn't make too much of a difference there. The big thing is quite simple. Bastion is now built to shred barriers. If you are trying to defend with just a Reinhardt and you're just trying to push forward with that, then Bastion can just set up very quickly. It's been increased in time in terms of how fast he can transform, so now it's a second. You can transform and then start putting damage into the barrier and he will just tear it down in a couple of seconds flat. I think it's something like 3 seconds he needs before the barrier will go down. It's insane how fast he does it. I actually really like this. I really do like this. So Soldier 76 for me, and I'm going to do a video. I was going to release the video on this today talking about like cycles and how I think and how I approach the game in terms of like prioritizing my role and prioritizing my job in Soldier. One of my key cycles is, am I damaging the barrier? Am I putting enough pressure on their tanks? Am I making their tanks' lives miserable? Basically, if Reinhardt's got his barrier constantly up, am I punishing that enough? And honestly, Bastion does that now way better. Basically, Bastion's taken over that role, so while Soldier is more sort of fine-tuned and precise in his DPS because he's got the Helix rocket to add some finishing power, Bastion is now what you use to get past an enemy Reinhardt barrier, and you really can punish Reinhardts for having too much barrier up. Now, he still has a lot of weaknesses. He's still very vulnerable to getting charged, especially because he can't headshot. Reinhardt now actually has a bit more time to charge him. He's very vulnerable to stuff like Fire Strike as well because he's immobile, so he'll just get hit by it. And interestingly enough, his presence actually brings Diva back in slightly, who is the only person who can really reliably stop that damage output, and so it gives the team an opening. Having a Reinhardt plus Diva, for example, will be very strong in stopping that damage going through. Not that Roadhog isn't still amazing against Bastion. The hook is, you know, it pulls him out of his turret form, so it makes him very strong in that. But you also got to get past their barrier, and odds are if they're running a Bastion, then you probably got the barrier. If you're playing Bastion, you should probably be behind a barrier and Roadhog shouldn't be getting the drop on you. It's going to be interesting to see how this one plays out because honestly, this could really influence how the game plays, because what this does is it nerfs Reinhardt-centric strategy. Reinhardt has always been sort of the top dog, big daddy tank. He's always been the main choice. You pretty much have to run a Reinhardt just because if you're pushing without him, it gets really difficult, the exception being more dive-based comps. But in general, you want a Reinhardt. There are very few instances where you don't want one. Now, Bastion puts Reinhardt kind of on the back foot, which is fitting considering what happened in Eichenwald. Now, is that to say that, oh, they have a Bastion, you can't run Reinhardt? No, you probably still want the Reinhardt barrier, but it's going to make you think a lot more carefully about where you're going to be putting it up, how long you want to be out with it up and available, and how you're going to be moving around the map. It's going to influence you very dramatically in terms of your options, in terms of how to defend or how to position yourself in regards to the damage output coming to your team, because Bastion still, even though he can't headshot anymore, does a huge amount of damage if he's just left to spam. Now, that does drop off very rapidly across longer ranges. Bastion's spread has been increased as well on the PTR, so don't expect him to be sniping people away like he could do before, but it's still very reliable damage, and I think that's the one thing I want to get across with the new Bastion spray, is that it is reliable damage. You just keep shelling out and you just watch health bars slowly melt away at the longer distances that people are starting to fire at. So what does this open up? Well, it opens up flankers, it brings Genji back, it brings Tracer back. You know, these two heroes that are very good at killing a big mobile target. Tracer will have no problem dealing with the new Bastion simply because you can tunnel damage into him and then you just put a pulse bomb on him and run away. He's not hard to pulse bomb because he's huge, he's fucking enormous. He's a big boxy dude. It makes it very easy for those guys to do a lot of damage. Genji is actually a little bit worse against Bastion, I'd say, just because the deflect drop-off is a bit more extreme. And I have not felt threatened by Genji deflex when playing Bastion at all, but that's just me. I'm kind of used to it. I'm used to playing Genji. I don't know when he's going to do it, and you'd let go of left click. And you hold down right click now, which is super helpful because you can just keep healing. It's actually very hard to kill the Bastion on the PTR because you're holding down the right mouse button and you're just healing up. So Bastion does have like a tanky mode option where you just say, no, fuck it, I'm going to survive, I'm going to survive, I'm going to survive, and hopefully your team can sort of get stuff off you, but it doesn't stop Tracer, for example, just building a pulse bomb and annihilating the shit out of you, which is, you know, it happens. At the moment, I am very excited about the new Bastion. I think it could really add a lot to the game in terms of just breaking up team comps and breaking up tank meta. This is the hero that was needed a little while ago, I think, just to shit out damage and punish big targets, which is what we needed to kill stuff like Roadhog, D.Va, Reinhardt. If we had the opportunity to, then you could just shell away with them. One thing I will say is that Bastion's ultimate feels like it charges a little bit too fast considering the damage he puts out. I was getting tank mode ridiculously fast, and you basically have to kill like 1.5 tanks, it feels like, and then suddenly you're going to have a tank mode, and then you're going to be one-shotting people. The nerf to armor in tank mode, honestly, not that big a deal. The fact that you can self-heal more reliably now just makes it feel less like a big thing, and you should be firing from moderate distances anyway in tank mode, so having 300 health is more, well, 300 hit points is more than enough to kill everything using that. It's a fun ultimate, but it's incredibly powerful, and considering you're probably going to be using it, you know, after you've blown down the enemy barrier, it's going to get results. But yeah, I'm excited for it. Expect to see a lot of Bastions in your games. I'm going to go play even more on the PTR. And yeah, hope to see you guys on there soon too as well. On my stream, we're definitely going to be playing a bunch on the PTR as well. It would be fun to do some user games using all the new settings. We'll go over arcade mode, I think, on the stream rather than on a video. It just doesn't feel suitable to like slowly chore through all the options and stuff when we could just play around with it on stream and, you know, spend 3 hours messing about with it. So feel free to come by then, 10 PM GMT, Thursday to Monday. Hope to see you there. Otherwise, thanks for watching to the end. I've been Josh as one voice amongst many. Toodles.